Playing the waiver wire is important in fantasy leagues and can make or break seasons. For this waiver wire entry, we will take a look at Los Angeles Rams running back Kyren Williams' fantasy profile and determine whether or not he's a player you should be picking up off the waiver wire. We'll start with some of the positives from Kyren Williams' fantasy profile. Positive offseason and preseason reports. Kyren Williams was getting reps with the first team offense in joint practices against Cincinnati this summer. He also sat the final preseason game as Sean McVay viewed him as an integral player to the Rams this season. And prior to Week 1's game against the Buffalo Bills, there was a lot of hype from reporters like Adam Schefter and analysts in NFL circles like Peter Schrager about Kyren Williams being slated to get a surprisingly large workload. We didn't get to see him live up to his Week 1 hype due to an injury, but with him coming back healthy soon, he's got a great opportunity to finally live up to the hype and cement a key role in this Los Angeles backfield. The next major thing we have to talk about with Kyren Williams' fantasy profile is his opportunity. The Los Angeles Rams running back room is currently wide open, with the news that Cam Akers is unlikely to play for the Rams again this season as they look to ship him elsewhere. Now, Darrell Henderson is his only real competition for touches, and he should have a role in the team's backfield immediately on returning from the injured reserve. The last thing I really like about Kyren Williams' fantasy profile is that he's a great passing down back. One of the major positives from Kyren Williams' draft profile was his pass blocking and pass catching abilities. Given through the first 6 weeks of the season, the Los Angeles Rams offense has struggled and allowed 22 sacks, tied for the third most sacks in the league. The Rams may look to get the talented pass blocker more involved in the offense to help alleviate some pressure off of Matthew Stafford and get the offense going again. Moving on to some of the concerns with Kyren Williams' fantasy profile, coming off an ankle injury. As we alluded to earlier, Kyren Williams suffered a high ankle sprain in Week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. There's a very real chance that this injury could linger a bit and impact Kyren Williams' level of play for the rest of the season. The next major concern I have with Kyren Williams' fantasy profile is that the Rams have a bad offensive line. While the Rams may decide to utilize Kyren Williams more than some of their other backs because of his pass blocking skills, the poor offensive line could be a problem on plays where he's going to be carrying the ball. For fantasy purposes, neither Darrell Henderson or Cam Akers have been able to be anything more than a matchup-based flex play behind this line, and there's a very strong chance that Kyren Williams will be in the same boat. The last major concern I have with Kyren Williams' fantasy profile is his smaller stature and the fact that he's not particularly athletic. Kyren Williams stands at just 5'9" and weighs 194 pounds. He's one of the least athletic running backs in the league, running a 4.65 40-yard dash and ranking in the 9th percentile in speed score and the 20th percentile in burst score among running backs according to Player Profiler. This lack of athleticism may hold him back from being a big fantasy contributor this year. Some additional thoughts on Kyren Williams' fantasy profile. Sean McVay's running back room. Los Angeles Rams head coach Sean McVay has generally given his running back room solid usage on the ground, but has usually been below average in featuring his running back room as a whole in the passing game. Sean McVay's offense has had 3 1,000 or more yard rushers in the 8 seasons that he's been an offensive coordinator or head coach. Alfred Morris in 2014, Todd Gurley in 2017, and Todd Gurley again in 2018. Personal opinion. I've really liked Kyren Williams since the offseason, as I talked about him earlier this offseason in the Cam Akers entry of this series. I'm taking a shot on Kyren Williams in my leagues. The biggest fear with him is that he's a better real-life player than a fantasy player because one of his biggest strengths is his pass blocking. But opportunity is king, and there aren't a lot of running backs sitting on waivers that have an opportunity to see the snap shares that Kyren Williams may see when he gets back. Add in the fact that you can generally stash him on the injured reserve list in most leagues, and Kyren Williams seems like a great low-risk, high-reward player to take a shot on at this point of the season. And that's it for today's waiver entry. If you have a player that you'd like to see covered, drop a comment below.